Okay. Share screen. Let's see if they can hear me. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, we should be good. All right. Okay, so on this first one, you're just using the slope-intercept form, which is, I mean, like, hello, Algebra 1. This is the one thing you were supposed to grasp. So hopefully that was super easy. You just plug in the M, you plug in the B. That's your answer to that. Then, if we look at number 2, you've got y minus 10 equals negative 1, x minus a negative 4. So minus a negative 4 becomes plus, and then we distribute the negative 1, so minus x minus 4, and we add 10. So that equals y equals negative x, that's plus 10, so plus 6. Is that what you got? Those of you that did it? Now the third one, you can't actually do it until you do the slope. So negative 6 minus negative 9, and then 4 minus negative. So that would be 3 over 6, which is 1/2. Okay, so you couldn't do anything until you found the slope. That's step 1. Once you have the slope, then you can use the y minus y1, which would be negative 9. So plus 9 equals 1/2 x minus negative 2. So plus 2. That's going to be 1/2 x. Half of 2 is 1. I'm going to subtract 9. So y equals 1/2 x minus 8. I hope that you remember how to do that. Surely you do. So that is our bell ringer. We don't have very many of these left. Let's see. I think there's only like 2 more, 1 more. So what we'll do is tomorrow we will finish that one up, and then if between now and then I make a quiz, we'll take a quiz on Wednesday. If not, I'll just take them up from you on Wednesday. So if you don't have them all, you need to get those from people. How many do y'all have now? 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 4th one. Some of you may have 5 if you kept up with the original one. So either 4 or 5, depending on what you've kept up with. If you're virtual, you should be the same thing. Everyone should have these. So everybody should have these bell ringers. If you don't, you need to get with a classmate. Okay, so I gave you your worksheet for today, but before we do that, we're going to go over that last quiz that I gave you on Friday. Remember, you just took it home Friday as a study guide type review. So I want you to have the key. If you want to snap a picture of it, if you're not quick enough to do that, you can. If you want to, you could go back and look on the video. But we're going to check this quickly. I'm not going to leave it up here very long. And if you do have a question, feel free to shout it out. Okay. Second page. And then the last one is a square. The biggest question I've gotten all day with how they got a square is you have to stay on the track. Like if you're a runner and you're running the track, you go from B to C. You have to go down the track. You cannot jump over here and make that D. That won't work. So you have to go B, C, D, E. Okay, don't pick up your pen, stay on the track, and you'll get it right. Then you should have square roots of 50, square roots of 100, which is going to give you a square. Okay? If you do have questions with that and you need more assistance, you can just let me know, email me, and I'll help you with that. You need me or somebody? Me. Oh, don't take my children. Are you the, oh, you are. You sure are. Did you do football? Yep. Congratulations. You are doing awesome. It's fun to watch. This is me. If you're holding it, you see where it says Kate? That's me. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. This is online. Sorry. Okay, so let me update you on this week's schedule. So for the first part of this week, we have 2 lessons. You have a lesson on isosceles today. Tomorrow you have a lesson on kites. And then Wednesday, you're going to do your study guide. And then Thursday, you take your test. That's the schedule. Now, I've already released the study guide to you. So if you go onto Canvas and you look at today, Monday's module, you'll see study guide is there. So I know some of you like to study. You like to be prepared for your test. So it's there. It's available to you. You don't have to wait until Wednesday to start studying. So totally up to you. Whatever's going to make you more comfortable. It's there. Plus, I know some of you have hired tutors, so that would be a good thing for them to be able to help you with. Okay, so that is that. This that I gave you is your reference sheet. It's just got all the properties. It's just for your benefit. We've talked about everything but the trapezoids. That's what we're going to work on today. So that's something you just want to put into your notebook. And then today we are discussing trapezoids. So get your notes out for trapezoids. Do it. No quiz. The next thing you're going to do is the test. That's Thursday. And it's a 100-point test. And for my people that are in class, not virtual, but in class, if you wear like a Christmas, something fun in Christmas, I'm going to give you just a couple bonus points on your test. So it just will go on to the test grade. So like somewhere between 2 and 4 points, depending on how many people do it and how well you guys do on the test. So don't go out and buy a $25 sweater just for this. It's not that many points, but it's just because like you guys didn't get to do community Christmas this year. And so me and some of the other teachers are trying to like give you guys a fun dress up day. So wear that on Thursday if you want to participate, and you'll get a couple points on your test. Okay, so we have 2 types of isosceles. Well, not really 2 types, but 2 classifications. One is non-isosceles, and the other is isosceles. So when you talk about isosceles, remember we have these isosceles triangles, okay? So if it's an isosceles triangle, remember that the angle, not the angles, the sides are congruent for an isosceles. 2 sides are congruent, and their base angles are congruent. Okay, so the sides and the base angles. So that's for an isosceles triangle. Well, we're going to be dealing with an isosceles trapezoid, and it's very similar with some of those same features. Before we talk about that one, though, let's just talk about an isosceles, a non-isosceles trapezoid. A trapezoid is a quadrilateral, which means it's going to have 4 sides. Bless you. 2 of those 4 sides are going to be parallel. So you can see in this case, it's your top and your bottom that are parallel. It says only 1 pair of opposite sides are parallel. Okay, so unlike a rectangle, a square, all of those things, we only have 1 set of parallel sides. And then the other thing it tells you is that consecutive angles between the parallel lines are supplementary. Okay, so consecutive angles would be here and here. So like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so consecutive angles would be 1 and 3. And those angles are supplementary. Over here, 2 and 4 are supplementary. Okay, supplementary meaning they add up to be 180. Okay, now all of those things, those two things are true for the isosceles. So still the angle here, 1, and angle here, 3, are going to be supplementary. So that's still the same. None of that has changed. 2 and 4, still the same. But it does tell us that the non-parallel sides, which we call legs, are congruent. So just like with your triangle, you've got those congruent sides. And then it also tells us that our base angles are going to be congruent. So this base angle and this base angle, this base angle, this base angle. So I know that's at the top and you wouldn't technically consider that a base, but with a trapezoid, it is, because you could flip it upside down and we could call that a base. So the ones that are on the parallel sides are going to be your base angles. Also, opposite angles are supplementary. So 1 and 4 are supplementary, 2 and 3 are supplementary. Okay, and then did I say that the diagonals are congruent? So your diagonals are going to be congruent. Just like with a rectangle, rhombus, those are congruent. So those are the facts that you need to know to be able to answer all of these questions. So if we look at number 1, okay, we're using this triangle up here, or this trapezoid up here, to answer these questions. Nope, no we're not. Just kidding. So if we look at this first one, J, 87. Who can we find knowing that J is 87? M. Good, because these two, J and M, are supplementary. So we do 180 minus 87, and what's that give you? Good, 93. Okay, so that's going to be 93. All right, then we have K. How can we find K? Good, it's supplementary to 51. Okay, so 180 minus 51 gives me 129. Okay, number 2, who's supplementary to angle A? D. So 180 minus 62. What's 180 minus 62? 118 is D. And C is supplementary to the 31. So 180 minus 31, that gives me 149. Okay, so that's just the numbers. Now they throw in some algebra. What do we know about these two angles here? They're supplementary. They're in between the two parallel lines, so they have to be supplementary. So 54 plus 8x plus 6 equals 180. So you take those two things, you add them together, set them equal to 180. Then you just do the math. I'm going to try to do the math quickly. I know that you guys can totally do the algebra. So what does 8 equal? Did you get 15? Yeah, good. And that's as far as it wanted to know. That one just asked for x, so you got x. Now, 4 asks for r. They want you to find the angle r. So how are we going to find angle r? These two are not necessarily equal. Well, they're not equal. They're supplementary, okay? So remember, base angles are the ones that are equal. Okay, so these aren't base angles. So I'm going to add them together. 12x plus 3 plus 7x minus 13, and that equals 180. Okay, so 12x plus 7x is 19x. 3 minus 13 is negative 10 equals 180. Add 10, 19x equals 190. divide by 19, x equals 10. Now, that's not it though. That's not what we were looking for. They want us to find r. How are we going to find r? Yeah, very simple. Just plug it back in. 70 minus 13 is 57, which is actually the answer. So 57 is the real answer. All right, number 5. On number 5, now this one states it is an isosceles trapezoid. So just like with an isosceles triangle, you never assume. You're either looking for the hash marks that show that it's congruent or they state it. So they've stated it, they told us it's isosceles, so now we can identify the congruent parts. Who is congruent to DG, EF? Okay, those two are congruent. Who is congruent to DF? Good, DF is the diagonal. The other diagonal, GE or EG, either way. If you're basing their congruency statements on each other, probably so. But I wrote GE. But, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so with number 6 is the isosceles trapezoid. It is an isosceles trapezoid. So who is congruent to angle T? Base angles, U. Okay, so angle T and angle U are both base angles, which they're at the top, but they're still considered base angles. And then what about with V down here? That's W. So your base angles are the one that's congruent. Number 7. Okay, if P is 112, who else is 112? Q. Okay, how are we going to find R and S? Good, those are supplementary to the top. So I'm going to do 180 minus 112, and that gives me 68. And both of those are 68. All right, if X is 47, who else is 47? Good, W. Okay, how are we going to find Y and Z? Good, just subtract that 47. 180 minus 47 is, good, 133. Okay, hopefully doing that gives you a little bit of a better understanding about these isosceles trapezoids and regular trapezoids, because now we're going to do a little bit of algebra. So let's look at number 9. All right, if we look at number 9, they give us all of these different measurements. They give you MP, NO, NP, PN, and MO. So who's congruent to who with a isosceles trapezoid? MP is congruent to who? NO. So what we can do is we can take those two algebraic expressions, set them equal to each other, and solve. Subtract 9x. That gives me 7x. Add 13. That gives me 21. So what's x equal? Good. X equals 3. All right. Who else is congruent to each other? The diagonals. PN is congruent to MO. Your diagonals are congruent. So PN is 5y plus 19. MO is 12y minus 37. Then you just solve. So I'm subtracting 12y It gives me negative 7y. Subtract 19. That gives me negative 56. Divide by negative 7. What's y going to equal? Eight. Oh, this class is just dwindling away. There's not very many of us. Do what? I know. Sad. Okay, number 10. What do we know about the angles they identified on number 10? They're congruent to each other because they are base angles. So since they're congruent to each other, you just set them equal to each other and solve. I feel like we need to spice it up. Y'all want to like race or something? Like. Y'all would totally win because I suck at mental math. So did you get x equals 13? Yeah? But that's not what they're asking for or looking for. How do we get what they're looking for? You've got to. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to just pick the 2. 2 times 13 plus 27. So 2 times 13 is 26 plus 27. Did you get 53? So who's 53 degrees? C and D. Now, how are we going to get A and B? Okay, 180 minus 53. That gives me 127. Everybody okay with that? So just so easy that y'all are just like, okay. All right, number 11. What do we know about the relationship between those two angles? They're supplementary. They equal 180, so you need to add them together. So that's 14x. What's negative 33 and 17? Is that 16? Negative 16? Equals 180. Add 16. Whoa. Add 16. 14x equals 196. Divide by 14. X equals 14, right? Okay, so x equals 14. What are we going to do here? Does it matter which one? You could plug them in for both. Okay, so which one did you start with? Okay, 4 times 14 plus 17. 4 times 14 is 56, right? Plus 17 is, yeah, 73. You're right. So M is 73. Who else is 73? L is 73. Do I have to plug in 14 times 10 minus 33? I could. What's another way I could do it? Yep, just subtract from 180, which is what I'm going to do. That's going to give me 107. Anybody confused on how we're doing this? I'm just going to set up the bottom 3. I'm not going to actually solve those. I'm just going to set them up. So if we look at the first one, if WXYZ is isosceles, find the missing angle. So what do we know the relationship is between these opposite angles? Good. It tells you in bullet, the very last bullet, opposite angles are supplementary. But when I first taught this in second hour, I didn't even realize that. I just knew that this angle was also going to be that angle. So angle Z would be that, and I knew Z and W were supplementary. So however you get to your answer, whatever, but they are supplementary. So they equal 180. And like I said, I'm not going to solve those. If you're super fast, go for it. Otherwise, we're moving on. What'd you do for 13? Or what would you do for 13? Good. You have to set those two equal to each other. They are base angles. Even though they're at the top, they're still considered base angles. What would you do for number 14? That's right. Opposite angles are supplementary. So just like that. Okay. Ta-da. All right, flip your page over. On the back is the mid segment of a trapezoid. So first of all, we need to know what even is a mid segment. Are you okay? Okay, a mid segment of a trapezoid connects the midpoints of the legs. So E is a midpoint, F is a midpoint. Okay, connects those midpoints. And it says if EF is the mid segment of the trapezoid of ABCD, then AB is parallel to DC. You knew that. That's no surprise. But what we're adding to that is that EF is also parallel to both of those. So the mid segment is going to be parallel to the top and the bottom. The other thing that we can take away from this is that, I forgot. Let me look at my notes. Oh yeah, the formula. If you want the length of EF, we're trying to figure out how far the distance is between EF. You have to add the top, which is AB in this case, to the bottom, which is DC, and you divide that by 2. So you add the top, add the bottom, divide by 2. That will give you the length of the mid segment. So now we're going to practice that. So if we look at number 1, okay, this is the one that we're using this up here. Okay, so AB is 14. That's the top. DC is 26. That's the bottom. They want you to find the mid segment. How are you going to do that? 14 plus 26 divided by 2. What's 14 plus 26? 40 divided by 2 is 20. Okay. Then on number 2, AB top is 7, DC bottom is 31, and they want the mid segment. Add them, divide by 2. 38 divided by 2 is 19. Now 3 and 4 are not harder, they're just different. So they gave you EF, which is the mid segment, and then they gave you the bottom DC. I'm going to still set this up exactly the same way to stay consistent. I can either use a variable to represent AB or just use the word or letters AB, which is what I'm going to do. AB plus the bottom, which is 38, divided by 2 equals 22. So this time I just kind of set up an equation. And then I'm going to work backwards. I need to get AB by itself, or if you use X or Y or whatever you use, that's fine. How do I get that 2 out of the denominator? Bless you. Multiply by 2. So what is 22 times 2? 44. So we've got AB plus 38 equals 44. How do we get AB by itself? Subtract 38. AB equals 6. With number 4, this time we have the top in the middle, not the bottom. You do it the same way. Top, which is 41, plus bottom, which is DC, don't know that, divided by 2 equals EF, which is 47. To solve it out, what's the first thing I need to do? Multiply by 2. So 41 plus DC equals 94. Subtract 41. DC equals 54. Everybody good with that? Man, y'all are making today easy. Okay, number 5. Okay, number 5 gives me this trapezoid. P, Q, R, S, Y, and Z are the midpoints of the legs, and they want you to find Y, Z. So we're dealing with the same thing that we were dealing with, except for now we have expressions. But your formula stays the same. You're still going to do top plus bottom divided by 2 equals the midsegment. So that's still going to be the same. You are just going to have to plug in the information. So PQ is 38 plus SR, which is x plus 14, divided by 2 equals 5x minus 19. Just like with the ones up top, what was our next step? Which I'm still going to do. If you want to kind of simplify things quicker, instead of just bringing down 38 plus x plus 14, you could go ahead and simplify that at the same time because these are going to cancel. So what's 38 plus 14? Isn't that 52? So we've got x plus 52 equals, who do I multiply that 2 by? By both. You've got to distribute. So that's going to be 10x minus, is that 38? Then I subtract 52, subtract 10x. So I've got negative 9x equals negative 90. Divide by negative 9. What's x equal? Positive 10. But they didn't ask for x. They wanted yz. How are we going to find yz? Plug it back in. So 5 times 10 minus 19. 5 times 10 is 50. 50 minus 19 is 31. That's the true answer. Okay, number 6. How do we set number 6 up? Top and bottom, add them together. What do we do with that? Divide the whole thing by 2 and set it equal to 25. Step 1. Multiply both sides by 2. That just cancels on that side. The 2's cancel out. And then you've got 2x plus 6x, which is 8x. And then 11 minus 1, which is 10, equals 50. Next step, subtract 10. So 8x equals 40. Then what? Divide by 8. So what does x equal? X equals 5. Is that our answer? No. We need kj. How are we going to find kj? So 6 times 5 is 30 minus 1 is 29. How's that? Okay. Same thing with the last one. You're setting it up the same way. Top plus bottom divided by 2 equals 8x minus 3. All right, I'm going to pass out your homework. 5th hour. Okay, virtual learners, if you're watching this right now, virtual learners are doing the evens. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. 5th hour. Let me give everybody a paper, and then I'll tell you what to circle. Y'all are always random. All right, so my 5th hour, folks, this is not for virtual, this is just for 5th hour. You guys do 1, 4, 7, 8, 11, 14, and 15. I didn't give you a paper? OMG, you're fired. Okay, so the numbers again are 1, 4, 7, 8, 11, 14, and 15. That's what you're submitting to me. If you're in class today, anybody that's virtual or at home, submit your notes and your homework. Bye-bye.